Dutch ease of being, liberal living, and letting live. Everyone thinks, says, and believes what they want. But what seems so natural today could cost you your head in the 16th century. Those who professed the spirit of the Reformation were mercilessly persecuted, murdered, and brutalized by the henchmen of the Spanish authorities. The Protestants saw themselves here in Amsterdam as the church under the cross. The church buildings remained closed to them, so they listened to the so-called hedge sermons of their pastors in the open air, behind the old scales, today in the center of Amsterdam, but in those days on the city's boundary.
Outside the border, the Protestants gathered to celebrate services in their own way. That was not allowed at that time, but the one who preached was the leader of this group. He's also one of the most famous refugees who went to Emden.
Thousands of Dutch Protestants from Wallonia and Flanders, Brussels and Amsterdam fled to safe areas. They split up across England, the German territories on the Rhine, the Palatinate and East Frisia. The representatives of these scattered communities set out in the autumn of 1571. Their destination, Emden, the open and up-and-coming trading and port city. Where today a well-known tea shop attracts customers, the Protestant emissaries met in a newly built warehouse on the Valdendelft. Their plan? Networking and organization of a church from below, as it was almost unprecedented in Europe. Anti-hierarchical, synodal, a classless church, so to speak.
No congregation should have priority or claim dominion over other congregations. No pastor over other pastors, no elder over other elders, no deacon over their deacons. They shall rather avoid the least suspicion and every opportunity for it.
Very close to this historical gathering in the Johannes Alasko Library, formerly the Great Church of Emden, they have collected the testimonies of the Reformed Church from its beginnings, including the invitation to the Emden Synod. Without doubt, an event that made history.
The Emden Synod of 1571 forms the fundamental cornerstone in the development of the ecclesiastical system of the Reformed Church. What is new about the Emden Synod is that it is composed of both pastors and lay people, who then make very important decisions for the church structure. In terms of content, the Emden Synod is linked to the Presbyterian synodal church system. That is to say, a tiered church system that begins with the congregation, ascends via the classes to the provincial synod. And as the last level, general synods are also envisaged, which hold the whole church together.
A cohesion that the refugee communities from the Lower Rhine were looking for and found in Emden. Delegates brought the final document of the Synod back here to Wesel.
Das sind also diese Protokolle der Synode in Emden.
So these are these minutes of the Synod in Emden from 1571. We have a copy of them.
Das ist also wirklich ein Schatz.
So this is really a treasure. What was negotiated was what just played a role in the Dutch church. With the addition of under the cross, because these people saw themselves persecuted by the Spanish. And the fact that East Frisia is included shows how large the catchment area of these people was who shaped this Emden Synod.
Der Leute gewesen ist, die diese Emder Synode geprägt haben.
The area of Dutch immigration also included the city of Frankfurt, and further south, Heidelberg, Schönau, and Frankenthal. The sovereign, who was close to the Reformed Protestants, was happy to see Flemish and Walloon craftsmen and drapers, who not only brought their knowledge, but also their economic strength with them.
Dieses kleine Bildchen zeigt Friedrich III., Kurfürst von
This little picture shows Frederick III, Elector Palatine since 1559, who invited a group of about 60 families of Dutch religious refugees to live in Frankenthal.
In Frankenthal Wohnung zu nehmen. Frankenthal hat seinen Pastor
Frankenthal sent his pastor Caspar Heidanus to Emden. There, Heidanus took over the presidency of the synod. That is, he presided over the synod, and he also carried the results, the resolutions of the Emden synod, back to the Palatinate.
What was later to be called the principle of subsidiarity, in other words, the understanding of the community and organization from the bottom up, from the smaller unit to the larger unit, self-determined, self-responsible, and equal. Everything that defines a Reformed church. And it all started in Emden in 1571.
The principle that no one should be above the other, that is actually a democratic approach, which then continued to have an impact and has also shaped our democratic understanding and constitutions. That is the significance of the Emden Synod today in the extra-church sphere and of course also in the church sphere. In my own voluntary work, I've always been taught that in the Reformed Church, bottom is top. All power comes from the congregation. This is a great transfer to our democracy and society today. I live very much for the issue of citizen participation, listening to the suggestions of our citizens. And that's how our democratic structure is built. And that's also how the Emden Synod influences our understanding of democracy today. That is something very special for me as a Democrat. Synod means that leadership in the church is not done by individuals. We Reformed don't have a bishop, but we have bodies that perform the episcopal task, namely, looking out, looking in, and communicating. There are many who lead the church.
Viele sind die Kirche leiten.